recording. So welcome to my TED Talk concerning the Vandalized Cell Shading Library version 2. Version 1 is now no longer available. I've packed this system into a 4.5.2 version and a Blender 5.0 version. I recommend Blender 5.0 for a number of reasons, and this is an easier setup from the asset browser. I'll explain to this later. So first things first, this is the new style that I propose. Basically, it's a mostly geometry nodes and shader as a base, and then has a spray paint interpreter as a compositor base to add in camera depth of field and a world interpretation of coherent depth and space to some 2D material. So the lines are not drawn in compositor, they're drawn through inverse hulls. So we have a grease pencil overrides for both heroes and the background. And spray paint is driven by textures and lighting. So this is heavily, it could be lit however you want it to be. And the shader should interpret that. Same as the spray paint overlap of the heroes is also extremely flexible, and I built in some overrides so that you can control the width and depth, the size of the destruction, or pushing the spray closer to the camera and behind the object or in front of the object or halfway through it as much as you need.
It's perfect.
It also has screen space scaling, so it's scaling, the dots are not scaling to the screen, but the general shape of it is, so you can turn that on or off if you want as well. So you can have like a fixed world scale. Whoa. There you go, fixed world scale, so that it can stick to the world if you want, or screen space. The override system is basically you control what you want, or you can use the baked in settings, just default baked in settings.
Gotcha.
So let's take a closer look. How does this set up? Let's go into the assets. It's set up based on 3 elements. The scene, you have a scene. The scene is basically an animation collection, a common collection, lighting, just basic structure, and an FX collection. In the basic collection, you have whatever mesh you want with whatever material you want, and then you modify the material and plug in what you need. So let's take a closer look. We'll start at the top. Before I continue, there's the material setup, then there's the modifier stack setup, which is the FX hero stack. So if you want it on the hero to get these lines and things, it's a modifier stack. If you have a grease pencil correction system, which is for heroes or for the background, it doesn't matter. Normal grease pencil would go to background, the hero grease pencil would go to the foreground. Then you have your FX, your spray paint effects, which is a camera space kind of billboard system, which is very customizable to abstractify the world either in front or behind the hero, depending on how you drive it. It also has a system that's passively moving, as you can see in the background here. And if you move the camera a lot, like huge amounts, it's not very sensitive. The spray paint will fade and then fade back in. And the other element is the compositor setup, which is basically here. So here's the compositor setup, which has 1 crypto matte. It uses 2 shader AOVs, plus whatever ones you want, depth and normal. That's all you need. Plug it in, plug it out, you're good to go. There are some things that I could add into the system, so that I could create an override for this, but all of the values are baked in as one constant style. But we could override that and expose them to a top level with an override toggle. So this is the basic structure. So you have a modifier stack for heroes. Everything else doesn't need it, so you can use billboards, images, whatever, geometry, whatever materials. You have a material. The material has 2 options. You have spray or not spray, drips or not drips. So not drips is just normal cell shading. That's good enough for the background.
Mhm.
You can add in the drips again, which is coherent drips, into the Terminator and shadow stuff. So like if you see in the specular here, you can see these dots. You can turn them off. You can also, this is this, oh, I'm working on the wrong shader. So you have two shaders. So you have the base shader, which is what you would use on the base mesh, and then you have the spray shader, and then you'd use the same node group or image textures for both. So you can turn on or off the drips on the shader, and you can change the scale of the drips as well.
Cool.
This is kind of like the imperfection on the base material. And then on the spray, you can tell it to not be spray or to be spray. The way the spray works is it uses an SDF, so it requires two geometry nodes. One is for the actual hull and the backdrop, and the other one is for the lines into the same tree, and the other geometry nodes is just to create an SDF outline of the mesh. Those are the two that you need. So you have those two materials on all of your assets, and then you have your compositor where you just set that up and you're good to go. And then it should just work. So let's take a closer look. Let's start a new scene, or let's load a character of some kind, and let's set things up.
I feel like I really am watching a tutorial. It's crazy.
Dude, seriously. Have you
Right.
ever done like
Like
a
I forgot I'm not on YouTube.
All right. You forgot you're not on YouTube. Oh, it's an interactive tutorial now.
Like I can ask questions.
That's right.
Bro, if this was college, I would have been like way better student.
For real.
Okay. So let's
Yeah.
grab a model here. Let's go into prop, the vending machine. Sure, that's a good model. So let's open up the vending machine. So here's the vending machine, and it's going to compile the shaders. We also got a character for reference. So let's prepare the vending machine. So first things first, you want to go into the Vandalized cell shading library. So you just add that once it's in a centralized place. I usually turn it to link as a default, and that's the new library. So let's toggle that library, and now we have, this is where the difference between 4.52 and 5.0 will come into play. There is no seeable difference in the node tree and geometry nodes, so it should be compatible. But you do have a feature that you can now use scenes as assets, which means I have this scene, which is going to be called my library. And I'm going to just call this the prop collection over here in the top right as the vending machine prop. So all I need to do is just go into link mode. If I'm in Blender, it's in the center here. Click on drop down and then choose link. And then I'm going to link in the template into whatever editor, doesn't matter. And this would link the scene asset into the world. This means we have everything that's linked, including the scene template, which means the shader AOVs and the passes and the shader AOV and the compositor and the node trees and the compositor setup. Everything is just linked into the shot. That's all you need to do. And then you localize your scene and localize or override the things that you need. So I'm going to, for example, override the FX atmosphere by right-clicking on it and selecting and content library override. If you're in Blender, there is a submenu which is make override, then you go into make library override, and then you go to selected. So the beef artist is a little
We're
bit more.
familiar with that one.
Yeah. So this is just one level up because I knew it was kind of annoying. So I just made it a little higher. So
That's wicked.
So you get the affix atmosphere, and let's take a look at how to tune that. So now that's linked into the scene. I'm in the animation here, so I'm going to ID data, make that collection local. That's my shot. Inside of my scene data, I'm just going to go to collections, and I'm going to drag in my prop into the animation folder. Control, drag, Now it's linked in. Absolutely huge. So let's zoom out.
That's
Wouldn't it be
crazy. I
easier
didn't-
to stay on the other scene and just use the
Mm.
tools as you need them?
No.
Yeah. No.
No? Okay.
It's easier to link anything you need into a new shot because then you won't have to set up the compositor, set up the
Right.
shader OV, set up the link up everything, add in the nodes, hook up the nodes, set up the FX layer, set up the everything. You know, it's just like whatever.
Mm.
Okay,
Let's
so
localize the compositor
just as a
initially.
just as a note, in that case, the blockout files or the animation files, we need to make sure that they're in the right collections.
Yes. Yes. Clean up. I'm going through, and I'll
Yeah,
clean.
basically just drag in your top level collection into Anim and you're good to go.
Cool. All right.
Doesn't really matter.
Yeah,
Or
it's
just
just
scene
to
collection.
help keep track of stuff. So like, so that environments are in the right place, the VFX are in the right place, the characters
Yeah.
in the right place.
1,000.
Sometimes things get a little messy.
I freestyle. It's okay. You can say what it is.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. The bucket gets a little messy.
Right.
Okay.
So here we have this
It'll be
node
cool.
tree with this material that's built in. It's based on this one of these textures somewhere. So in this case, this material needs an update. So this goes into a PBR, into the base color, which is this one. So all you got to do is go into your material, shader node groups, get your base, drag that in link mode, and this will be your new shader. Plug in into the color, tell it to have strips if you want it, and use that as your output. So this material is now ready to go.
Oh, give me 1 sec, guys. I gotta work call. Be right back.
All right.
Cool.
All good.
And nice.
It's going to take a moment to
That's really
compile.
nice.
And the next thing after that, let's just check the modifier stack after it finishes compiling. So it has a geoboil, a snapping, a smooth angle. So this is an experimental. So I'm just going to hide this for now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my can, for example. I'm going to drag and drop the mesh lines onto, or the SDF edges onto the mesh and the mesh lines as well. So I just dragged and drop. So I have SDF and mesh lines already built in. So now let's go into the camera view. And now I have the same setup as the spray can. There's one thing missing though. I need to add in the correct base material. So what I'm going to do is I have the vending machine and then I'm going to duplicate it. I'm just going to call this vending machine spray. And in the spray, all I just got to do is turn on spray. So now I'll select this one and I'll just make a new slot to store that spray material so we don't lose it. Vending machine spray. It's not assigned to anything. So in the mesh lines modifier stack, in the bottom, you have use silhouette color after you drag and drop. Okay, why don't you link modifiers? Why don't you copy modifiers? This will remove the settings. So if you drag and drop, this will keep the settings. For some strange reason, Blender's like that. So after that, I'm just going to use this vending machine spray and select the spray. And now I can use the override to make the lines thicker or thinner. I can make the silhouette wider or smaller. And it's going to use the same colors as the machine. So let's see if it's... Oh, one last thing as well. You also need to make a new UV map and call this spray. This could be an add-on, but I haven't built it yet. Lowercase spray. So once I have spray built, go inside the mesh, just select everything, just unwrap it, something small and easy. And this will give us the edges of the spray. So my next question is, where is the lines? Oops, something has crashed.
Oh,
Okay, where are my dots?
do I need to restart sync thing? Is
Maybe.
it a me thing or? Yeah, let me do a restart. Hold on.
Oh, it is working. It's just the background.
Oh fuck. We're back.
That's behind the.
I'll turn off the effects for now. It is. It's just really small.
Okay.
I probably should add in a control for the spray scale. I'll add that in before I deliver. But now you can see it. It's got some spray going on, and that's a hero asset. So now it's got the spray. It's got the SDF. I'll add in some controls, and it's got the.
Sorry.
We're doing.
Did you just hear it? Yeah, that's sync thing right now. Wait, give me 2 seconds. Sorry, I'm still here. I'll just mute.
All right.
Quick question: is there an easy way to control the random spreading of the spray? So, like, let's say we only wanted it to show up more on the higher left and the lower right, or maybe not so precise, but you know what I mean. Just like
Okay. So there's
maybe
a
in some part.
there's a randomization scale system, so you can control the scale of lines or not. You can also control it with weight paint. You can also tell it to have a weight paint override, so like use 0% of the weight paint or use all of it. You also have a system to polygonize it.
Polygamize. Nice.
Polygamize,
With
yeah.
the with the weight paint or weight map override, how do we input the weight paint? Because I feel like that might be the more you.
The weight paint is basically you open it up, select your vertex group that you want, and paint.
Oh, there it is. Okay, got
That's
it.
all you inside the variation. So it
That's
has a weight paint
perfect.
override, so you can turn it off or on, or just use it
I
100%,
think
and you're good to go.
for characters that might be the most useful, so that way we can like avoid getting spray in front of like the eyes or
Yeah,
things like
and
that.
if you, the other thing is the important thing is the flatten factor. I usually keep it not too flat, halfway, and the camera offset. So you can tell the camera offset if we're looking at like top level or in outside of camera. You can see that the camera offset it pushes towards the camera or behind the object. So you could have it halfway in the object or in front of the object. So it's based on artistic style. You can also animate this if you're using the override. So for example, the hair, you could have it behind or in front, but the eyes, you could have it behind. And this is all creative direction. So let's take a closer look at the Red Master. So this set is ready to go. Now the kit, this is a hero asset. In order to use the hero asset, go into the compositor. I just localize this template system and select the scene that I'm using, the proper scene here. I select that particular object, and now if I'm in the compositor, turn on here. Now we have that as a hero object with the lines, with everything that I need, with the cement showing on the camera, which deforms to the 3D object, so it's not 100% flat. It shows also that could be tuned to be stronger or less strong. And with the effects, we can now just enable the effects, which is already attached to the camera. Same tuning. So let's tune the effects before we go to the character. So in the effects, we just override it, everything and select it, and you have a camera Z transform to push it backwards or forwards. You have scale, you have dimensions and resolution, you have the seed, you have a minimum insert, like you can change if it's bigger on the center of the camera or outside of the camera. You can change how that works. You also have randomization with position or rotation or scale, more scale. And all of this would give you a sense of abstractification in the world. You can also, the dimensions is, the resolution is like if you want more or less of them, obviously, based on the grid in the 3D world. The general scale of dimensions also is important when it comes to how it works. And also the flattening is like, okay, now it's like a 2D grid based on a 3D interpretation. So it's squashing it towards the camera, but it's still 3D. Or you can make it fully 3D. So now it's like a fully 3D grid with a 3D world and with actual distance in the world. So depending on how much movement you have in the world, you can make it flatter or not. So it's better to have it relatively flat in close quarters and not too flat and bigger scales in the world, depending on the shot. And it's also animatable as well. And it does have a system that uses geometry nodes to fade in and fade out on strong camera movements. This is done through custom properties of the volume object. Less values makes it more sensitive, higher values makes it less sensitive. So let's make it super sensitive and flatten it out a little bit. And if we flatten it out, so it's like more 2D like this, and press play, move the camera, you can start to see, whoops, or like this. It's moving around, and where's my camera? Let me just select the camera. Where is it?
Break dancing right now. What's that? Oh, is
Yeah,
that
what's
red?
going on there?
I
Outside?
think it's red.
Hey, maybe because it's
Okay.
linked it's not working? Or is it working? Not sure. Well, I'll troubleshoot that later. But in theory that works, but maybe not because it's linked. But it's kind of like a nice to have. And generally it is spatially coherent. But if you just wanted a bit more life in the spray, it's there. Theoretically. So what else? So we've got that character, we've got going, the spray paint's kind of living and moving. All of that can be tuned in the geometry nodes. The style of the template can be tuned later, so I'm going to get deeper soon. Let me just show how to tune things on a character, for example. So I'm not going to save. All right, so here's the character. It's got everything applied generally. And just compile the shaders a little. In Vulkan, it will be faster, but Vulkan with undo can crash on Grease Pencil. So Vulkan's a little more unstable, but it does compile faster and run faster. So I'm on OpenGL at the moment.
Okay.
There we go. So here's the character. If I if I want, say, for example, more dots on the head, I could turn off the override, and now I can, or now it's using just default, so it's got spots in front. But I turn on the override and I push it to the back a bit. And I made it a bit smaller. You can make it bigger or smaller, depending on what you need, and this will give you some control. Same with the weight map. You can use your weight map, or you can make your randomization, and maybe I'll expose the scale of the dots as well. The dots are, just to give you an idea, the dots are attached to a camera billboard that is stuck to transform space. So these dots will stick to the transform and face the camera, but they do not deform. So they do swim on a lot of deformation, but they are stuck to transform space and to facing the camera. So it's a stylistic choice. If you want it to be stuck to deformations, then you would have to use coherent UVs and then have super perfect UVs. In this case, the dots might not look so flat. So it's a trade-off, but it should be a stylistic choice. What else?
Perfect.
When it comes to lines, like for example, if I want some extra lines in Grease Pencil, all I got to do, go into Effects, get my GP cahracter. I'm just gonna append reuse or something, or link, whatever I need if I want to override. If you're overriding Grease Pencil to use the modifier stack, use the override operator in Beefriders only. This has an override, auto override, so drag and drop, it automatically overrides. This is Beefriders exclusive, but if you're in Blender, you can just link and then override and make sure your collections are turned off. So you've overridden that.
Every now and again, this YouTube tutorial just keeps switching to advertising. It's really weird.
Sponsored by. All right. All right. So this has this geometry nodes, and this geometry nodes basically adds in a material and converts to mesh, which means your grease pencil will either cast lines or be passed to the compositor correctly as a hero asset. To start editing this when it's linked, you need to go to the grease pencil settings, localize the stroke data, and then you can draw. So localizing data needs to be local at all times before you can draw. And why am I not? It's still not localized yet.
Welcome.
The smiley face on the asset browser.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah, you need to localize the override there, and then you can start drawing. And this is just draw a mesh, and this is like it's getting the compositor set up, right? So you can like do correction, line corrections or whatever, and while you're animating or do effects. Later today or Monday, I should have a new spray paint brush, which is a geometry node with splatters built in and spray paint stroke behind it, with the same style. So you could like draw in effects with the spray paint. So you have two, you have like the charcoal grease pencil line corrector system, and I'll also make a spray paint brush with splatters so you can animate frame by frame.
This works off the model as well. Say if I wanted to just draw, like I was saying earlier, a smear, like it would just draw.
The new brush, yeah, the spray paint brush if you want. Or
Oh, the spray, not this one. So this one is.
this
always
one's black
attached to
lines. It's
the-
always black lines or colored lines.
Got you. Okay.
Actually, let's try color. If I have,
Because I'm thinking you
green.
might not.
Ah, yeah, color
Okay.
won't. It's just black.
Got you. Okay, cool.
I'll make the spray paint one for the smearing. I
Sweet.
do have a geometry node set up for creating mesh smears and duplicates based on a threshold system, which I developed with Alan based on someone else's work. But it's a little heavy, and you have to bake it down to render.
Got you. Okay.
But it does do like mesh duplicates. So if the arm moves quickly, it would draw like 3 arms and streaks behind it with spray paint or whatever you want. I could work on that if we had more time.
Okay.
That's sick.
I think we can do smear stuff by hand, but that does sound cool.
Yeah, it is a cool system. Okay, so let's take a look at the settings. The settings are pretty much the same as the last one, except you have a new specular metallic, which is not evaluated when it's off. When it is evaluated, you get the metallic spray paint speculars on your meshes, on the materials. So that's the only new setting. And you have a color attribute. So you could like, if you're too lazy to use textures, you can just turn on the color attributes or tint your color with a color attribute by with a blend factor. So it has a color input and a color attribute output. The drips also has a scale system, but I'll expose the spray paint scale system as well shortly. All right, so that's the effects. You have the material for your characters, the scene to link and then localize. You have the effects that you override, grease pencil that you can localize and override, or append. Appending is probably easiest. In 4.52, you have everything organized as a compositor node tree, materials nodes, with the spray paint and the base and an outline material if you need it. And you also have the shader node groups for the shader base and a linked material driver template. What is the linked material driver template? It's just a ease of quality of life thing where you just, for example, select the spray can. Let's take the spray can. Here it is. So this is basically a node group with everything you need. All the colors, load of texture, all your settings, and this will output all of those settings so that you can like link this into the spray paint. So you can have the same settings for the base material and the spray paint material. It's just an easy shorthand way to connect two separate texture sets or two separate materials with the same texture set and settings. So it's a small thing to help there. So,
I see.
so what's the process? Let's draw it down. 1 second. So here we have, if you're in Blender 5.0, you do, let's go to number 1, you link the scene asset. And then you localize the scene at the top level. You localize the collections that you need and want to edit. You override the effects collection with selected to edit the volume FX. You localize the compositor node tree. In Blender 4.5.2, node trees are not exposed as an asset. Inside of 5.0, it is. So in 5.0, you can localize your node trees and link them between scenes. So after that, you localize the compositor node tree, and then after that, you update the node tree to reference the current local scene and crypto mats. And then after that, so that's a shot preparation.
Woo!
All right, so
Nice.
prop and character preparation is you link in the S base shader node group. You connect the color, you set the settings, you make a UV map for the spray called UV map spray, and unwrap, basic unwrap is fine, or smart project, smart UV, whatever is fine. And then you connect the color, and then you duplicate the material for the spray, and then drag and drop the two modifiers from the base stack or can object to copy the settings and use. So this is just, in the effects, you have the FX hero stack hidden away. It's here, which shows you the two node groups, SDF edges and spray lines. If you could use the the hero stack, you can either add to scene or just use the appended scene and drag and drop those in. Use the outliner. I'll write that down. So dragging and dropping will keep settings as copying or linking erases them. It's just a tip. You can do that. That's perfectly fine. If you have multiple, that's perfectly fine as well. And after that, you tune the modifier stack to get better inverse hull lines and spray settings. In this case, you have overrides built in, unless or else it will use a default suggested setting. And after that, you tune the material settings. And the prop is ready to go. Make sure everything's linked. Linking is important so that the central hub updates whatever changes we do. And shot preparation, after that you have post-processing. Post-process, you tune the effects as the first thing. You set up your lights. Well, that's probably the first thing. Set up your lights, tune the effects, set up cameras, and then after that you tune the compositor if you want to. I'll add some more controls there, and then you bake the effects. Optional. It should, I mean, if you're not seeing anything, then it's probably not important and probably won't glitch anything. If anything, I'll strip it for performance. Awesome. And it should be good to go. This could be all scripted. I recommend Blender 5.0 to do it because then you can just drag and drop the scene. That's the core thing. If not, you would have to use append, navigate to the file, go into the scene folder, then select the scene, and then turn off localize all, and then turn off instance collection. Yeah, and then yeah, all of this, and it's all annoying. So I
Okay.
recommend that. And in general, that's the general style of the concept that you can use. It will run slow with the compositor on. If you disable the compositor, you get a bit more performance. And if you disable the effects, you'll get even more performance. The effects is what's probably the biggest hog. If you want even more performance for our animations on your characters' meshes, all you got to do is just select all your elements, collapse everything, and just hold down Alt and hide. Hold down Alt and hide. This will give you much better performance while running at 30 frames a second.
It keeps it in the render too.
And it will
Wait,
keep it
you
in the
just
render.
you just do it on all of the hold on. That's fuck. Okay, sorry. That that just blew my mind. Literally.
Yeah, it's an annoying thing that Blender has. Is like you can toggle things on everything that's common with the same name if you hold down Alt.
That's crazy. Oh, that's actually cool. Okay.
Yeah, turn off subdivisions as well.
Game changer. I'm gonna be
All right.
faster.
So, do you want to go deeper? Shall we go deeper?
Oh, let's go deep.
All right.
Let's go. I'm down. I'm down.
We'll start.
Ponzo, have you got? I know you got a bounce in a bit, but
Yeah.
thoughts right now.
Yeah, I love everything. I was just gonna ask like if it would be okay. Like I'm gonna mess with this stuff during the weekend, and I might like hit you up next week, like Monday, Tuesday, and be like, hey, you got an hour just to sit down and answer some questions if I have any.
You're actually not allowed to talk to Dre's.
Ah, yeah,
Oh,
that's
that's
fine.
fair. Okay.
As I say, customer
I'll
support.
just
You're perfectly
I'll just
fine.
figure it out.
Yeah. If you have questions, let me know. If you need me to develop something more, a little bit extra, just let me know. If you find it editing things a little bit hard, just let me know, and I can do that. That's perfectly fine. I'll try to also set up a couple of shots, just maybe even live, and just to see and iron out any kinks that I find. So let's go. So all good. I will be here mostly part-time and hopefully do something. So let's start at the top. Compositor down.
Big thank you for this, by the way.
All right. All right, so let's go into my library version 2, source files, and let's take a closer look. So inside the compositor, we have this template. This template, C template, C for compositor. CS is scene level compositor. So inside the compositor, we have the camera depth of field system, the simple spray paint interpreter system, which is based on 2 cahracters based on camera depth. This could be obviously tuned to whatever you want. Then we have a coherent paper system for the flat material, which is masked by the crypto matte. And then we have the line system. So let's take a closer look at the line system. The line system extracts the AOV lines from a red color channel of the inverse hull, which is a shader AOV. So you could reinterpret any textures to that particular AO line, and it will just see it. Just make sure it's red. Any other color will be ignored. So this is your mask. The reason I do this is so that the spray paint on the front and behind it goes over the lines. So this is a system that you need to just keep in mind. Line art is red. Anything that's red will go and read into the system. I tear up the edges, a Boolean overlay with a multiply, and break up the lines. So it's almost the same as the other one. It's just I don't use Subel anymore. I just use direct lines from the hull. And I also break up the lines based on the cement material instead of a noise. So that's the big difference. What's the coherent paper? Coherent paper is basically a system that distorts normals, or uses normals, distorts an image based on the normals, and uses camera detections of translation and rotation to drive the transforms and translations of an image, and then overlays them and displaces them so that we have a coherent piece of concrete. This texture here could be anything. It could be cardboard, it could be concrete, it could be a brick wall, it could be anything you want. I could expose that to a top level, but right now it's baked in. And you have a strength control for distortion, and you have a couple of other controls like this has a specular shadow effect. So let's change it. So if I'm in the camera and I want to see more material, I can turn in the shadow of the background material. You could overlay some lighting, whatever you want, some specular, whatever. You can change the blending of the material as well. So this is like really strong right now. As you can see, it's not affecting the heroes so much. It's there, but not so much. So you can see it's moving with the camera, but it's still flat, but it's not attached to the camera 100%. And the deformation of the texture is going around the object. So if you move the object, you can see it's like deforming the texture. So it's not 100% flat to get rid of that shower door effect. So that's one thing you can tune with the material. Inside of the lines, you can tune, see, here's the line mask. You can see that how it works using the red. You can tune anything you want, really, how much you want the noise to deform things, etc. So if we go into the overlay, you can tear up the edges, which is basically a feather relative to pixel scale. It's not very performant though. Then you have the linear light edge. So you can you can tear things up based on the texture of the world. So it's got some coherence, but not too much. So that's up to you as well. You can mix whatever noise or whatever you want in there, and then just Boolean autoplay. That's I'm using Boolean, so it's like off on black, not black, but you can make it anything you want really.
Okay.
So that's the lines, and everything else is like the spray paint interpreter right now is based on an in focus strength and out of focus strength. So for example, if I have this cube here, and let's just tone down this paper effect and texture effect just a little bit, not too much. There we go. So if I have this cube, right, and I move it to the background, like you almost don't need materials sometimes. So here I am. It's an interpretation, so billboards will work, textures will work, any material will work really, but I recommend you use the same paint splats so it doesn't look too 3D, just to keep things.
That looks so satisfying.
And all right, so let's take a look at the camera. You got depth of field. The depth of field is off, but you can now use it to change. There you go. It changes the focus. So, for example, let's say zoom in like this. Up close is let's just make this really small. Okay, it's up close is in focus, and further away is out of focus. There we go. It's not very far. It's a very small amounts of cubes. So let's just push cubes way to the back here. Yeah, you can see that things are out of focus further out. So if you select the camera, there it is. The settings is it changes the focus. So you have some spray paint focusing going on to drive the world paint. It doesn't affect the heroes, but it does create a cooler drop shadow around it just per chance, like it's out of focus, so there's things floating off the canvas a bit more. And if we put it into focus, it's not floating as hard around the drop shadow. So you can, the spray paint does have a minimum. So if you take a look at the top one, in focus strength, if I'm back here, mesh lines. So the in focus strength is in decimal points based on a scale of 1024. So this is 8 pixels of 1024 or 0.8% of 1024. So you can make it stronger or not as strong. Obviously higher values may crash things, so keep them relatively low. And then it's like 0.3% when it's further away. This is tunable, so you can make it like stronger if it's out of focus or less strong. Higher values is less performant. And that's what you can tune in the compositor. Inside of the material, I will expose the spray paint scale. but it's basically built like this. You have a dual tone system with some noise breakup. You have a shaded RGB splitter like the specular. Have a coherent triplanar UVs based on object scale for the coherent spots. I linear light them into a hotspot, light penumbra, terminator, and shadow mask. Combine it all together while I'm using the color correction systems. And then I run it through the spot system, which has a Boolean on or off. Inside the spot system, I use the billboard UVs, which is the system here, and triplanar UVs based on coherent scale, distance scale. And I use the alpha mask with the SDF system pulled from geometry nodes from the other node stack, break it up, and use a shadow bypass and put it out. So I'll just expose some of those settings for the scale, and we're good. It's not too complex. It's just the coherent scale system is took me a year to figure out, but it's basically this. And after that, that's the shader. And inside the shader, you have the AOV. One AOV? Where's the AOV? Oh, the AOV is in the material. All right, so in the FX stack here, the FX step now goes into the geometry nodes. So let's take a look at the spray. In the spray, it's a bit more of a complex system, but what's in red is usually overridden. So if you see something that says override in red, it's usually that value, then it's overridden. So if you turn off the override, it will be what the user uses. If not, it'll be that value. So what's in red is what I have overridden. And I have labeled everything to just give you like, here's the inner hull, here is the growth on the silhouette shape, here is the randomization of the normal system, here's the weight offset system, the line width system, here is the flattened silhouette camera system, which is based on this very handy node, which I'm going to share for free later. There's an intersection system if you want the silhouette to intersect with the mesh. It's not performance, so it's off by default. The polygonization system, which is a measure by distance basically. You can add animation to this or not, and then it stores the colors in here, so you can like paint the edges as well, I think. Or you can, it has a color override, but right now we're using material overrides, and it's all there. The SDF system is basically a basic node tree. Where is it? There it goes. SDF. Why isn't it updating? Here it is. All right, so the SDF system I have not labeled because I don't fully understand it, but basically what it does is it creates a silhouette from a raycast, deletes the internal geometry, uses a proximity by distance, and then generates an SDF from the edge of the mesh. More topology, the better, but that's what it does, and creates a gradient attribute that I reference in the material. This is thanks to Alan Watts.
Big up Alan Watts, I guess.
Yeah, it's freaking revolutionary, like super useful this.
I miss Alan. I haven't chatted with him for a minute.
Yeah, I know. So those are the elements. Basically, you got to prepare the shot with the compositor, the effects, this modifier stacks, and link all the things that you need, and then apply the materials with the linked shaded base node and the modifiers, and you're good. So drag and drop the two modifiers. That's important. The modifiers is if it's a hero. If a hero. If not a hero, it's not necessary.
Gotcha.
Because yeah, these modifiers basically tells the system to not apply the spray paint. Just use the secondary spray paint. It's basically I wanted cutouts with its own spray system, so that then I can just play with it. So I can use the override and change the shapes of the things to however I want.
Wicked.
And that's it. That's general style. After that, I guess we're gonna need to think about smearing, lighting,
Mm.
and slogging to get this done
Beautiful.
by next Friday.
Yes.
Amazing.
Oh, that's a thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what because you're well actually no, before I go into any of that, this is fucking awesome. Great.
Yeah.
Thank you. This is yeah. Pojo, this makes sense. A lot of this
Yes.
I get, but
This made sense
yeah.
for the most part. Some of it, I'm like, I might need to play with it to truly
Yeah.
understand.
Mm-hmm.
But yes,
Cool. But yeah, well, I feel like
that's why I'm like, okay, I'm gonna mess with this during the weekend, and then I'll probably have actual questions on Monday.
cool. Yeah.
Oh
But
yeah.
cool.
Just to troubleshoot before you go, if you don't see, for example, the spray paint's not working here, just make sure you've added that object to your Cryptomat. If not, that spray
it.
effect will be pushed to the background.
I love
So,
Cryptomat.
so that Cryptomat system will help. I mean, the lines will bypass because it's in the lines AOV, and the vignette system as well will do its thing. But the secondary spray system, if you don't see it, is because it's not in the Cryptomat. So there you go.
Cool.
Good. Okay.
That's
With the crypto map, are we depending on are you able to change it from like object to assets to like change the option of the crypto map? Or do we have to stick with object?
this is per object because the hull is per object.
Okay.
But the material drives the color of it anyway, so should be fine.
Okay, got you. Okay.
Okay, wait. I got a question for the Cryptomat too. How many Cryptomats can we use
Take the screen
until we get
the
one
light bulb.
of crypto?
Say that again.
Yeah, say that one more time.
No, I don't want to. It was stupid.
Wait, was that a serious question? Or wait, I'm confused. I'm missing everything.
Sorry. No, I feel stupid. No, it didn't land.
Wait,
I
what
knew.
was the question?
We're done.
Because you asked it like, how many crypto mats does it take to screw in a light bulb? I just knew it was a joke.
Oh,
Oh, is that what you said? Oh,
Cryptomat
okay.
does it take
Yeah,
till
I
we get done
think-
mining of Bitcoin?
Okay.
Something like that.
crypto.
Yeah,
is
I
okay.
don't- I'm feeling a little under the weather. The doctor says it's going to be like a couple more weeks till my jokes are good again.
Oh my god.
Okay. All right. You saved it with that.
Have a good recovery.
How's the doctor jokes going?
I
Yeah, it's
think
going to be a couple more weeks, guys.
Anyway, I'm pretty
Yeah,
happy
we'll
with the
see.
style in general. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, looks really sick.
Yeah, this is really cool. This is
And-
really cool.
Yeah, just
Cool.
the camera offset is what brings you the control. Like you could have the spray of the object behind everybody else, or in front of everybody else, or in between. The randomization as well, you know, or the weight painting. All of it's very customizable based on your needs or what you need. Once you have the override turned on, if not, it's just the default.
Gotcha.
Perfect.
Wicked.
So
All
that's it.
right, man. That's fucking cool. Thanks. Thank you.
So I will stop the recording.